Welcome to the Adult Chair podcast with Michelle Chalfant, a place to delve into who we are, how we got that way, and explore what it takes to be a healthy grown-up. With an extensive toolbox and guests with varied expertise, Michelle will lead us on a journey to learn what it's like to live authentically and to love ourselves just the way we are. And now, here's Michelle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Adult Chair podcast. We are at podcast number 189. 189. We're almost at 200. Very excited over here about that. Boy, we've got an interesting topic, don't we, today? We're talking about victim. We're talking about recovering from sitting in the victim chair and being victim. You know, victim sitting right in the victim part of us sits in the adolescent chair. So how do we get out of victim when we're stuck in it? As much as when we're in that victim seat, we want sympathy from everybody else, and we want people to feel sorry for us, and, yuck. While we're in it, we want all that. But man, when we get out of it, we're like, ew, why was I sitting there? So that's what I'm going to be chatting with you about today. We've got a story. You know whose it is. It's mine, because I was sitting in the victim. I share my personal examples, showing my humanness to all of you guys. But here's the thing. I bounced out of it. I recovered out of it. I'm going to share with you how I did that. So we're going to get to that in a moment. What do I want to announce? Okay, first thing I just want to announce. Don't forget, we're almost out of time for the Adult Chair event in Charlotte, North Carolina. January 30th, 31st, and February 1st is the Adult Chair Charlotte. Go to theadultchair.com/events if you would like to come spend 3 lovely days with me in Charlotte, North Carolina, exploring and finding your adult chair. We have so much fun, jam-packed with information for the 3 days. And like I've said in the past, you can sit in the back row if you want, not say a word, and you'll still have a transformation. I promise. The other thing I want to say is, and that $100 off that I have on that class expires December 31st at midnight. So get on it. It's a great holiday gift. So jump on that. The last thing I want to say or announce to you guys is, if you love the Adult Chair, this is your final month to come check it out in the membership. This is what the membership is all about. I have so many of you that go, I didn't even know about that membership. What is this thing all about? I created this for the serious adult chair peeps out there. And it has grown and morphed and changed over this year of 2019. It is better than I ever could have expected. I love this group. This is what you get in 1 month. It's all based on a monthly theme, by the way. We've got a monthly teaching that is on video or audio, or that's on both actually. So you can watch me on video or audio. It's all about the monthly theme. We have a new every month meditation that goes with that theme. I do 2 coaching sessions a month. So 2 members are chosen monthly to participate in a life coaching session with me. And this is when other members can sit and watch and listen to what it's like to see me work with someone and get them into their adult chair. It's a fabulous way to learn this model. You also get weekly discovery work, and that includes journaling prompts and weekly focus work. And it's like a task that you get every week in addition to the journaling prompts. But really, that's a big part of transformation. We also do a monthly live Q&A. That's about 60 to 90 minutes every month. You can email in or put your questions in Facebook, and then I take them all down and we do a live Q&A where you can jump on in and ask questions and see live what the answers are, and you can participate in this really lovely group discussion. And then lastly, we have a private Facebook group. So it's really, really an amazing, there's so much going on in that group. I have packed it with really so many things that will help you to transform. And if it sounds like it's a lot, let me just tell you, people were like, wow, it seems like a lot. I'm like, are you kidding? It's like an hour a week for yourself. So I would hope that you have that for yourself. It's like less than 10 minutes a day, honest to God. Check it out, because the price is going to go up in January. But if you join this month, you actually lock the price in, the $24 a month price. So check it out. Come join us in there at theadultchair.com/membership. And that's about all I have to say about that. All right, we're going to jump right into victim. So I have a very, very what you might be laughing. I am laughing at myself now. In the moment, I was not laughing because I was sitting in my victim seat. So I shared with you guys, I think if you noticed all over social media, I was not all over, but on a lot of social media posts, I was talking about being with Joe Dispenza last week down in Mexico. For those of you that don't know who he is, check him out. It was really just an incredible week. He's someone that actually severed his spine many years ago. He was a triathlete and severed his spine, and many doctors told him he would never walk again. I think he was hit by a car, if my memory serves me correct on his story. But he used visualization he was a chiropractor, so he knew the spine very well. And he used visualization to actually get his spine fused back together to be healthier than ever before. And he has an incredible story. And he basically teaches other people about the power of the mind, which that is so in line with my thinking. I have studied this for probably 30 years, and it's very much even a part of the adult chair. When I talk about consciousness in the seat of the adult chair, this is what I'm talking about, like choosing your thoughts very wisely from that higher you. He spends a lot of time talking about that and does a lot with meditation. And if you guys know me, you know I love that. I've created a lot of meditations for all of you. So anyway, we spent the week with him last week. And on the final day, what happens is actually the last 2 days, you do a 5-hour-long pineal gland meditation, which sounds crazy long, but it actually only felt like an hour when you're actually doing it. But it starts at 4 a.m. So the second to last day, I did my meditation and it was good. I just wasn't loving it. I participated in it. It was great. I just didn't have the experiences that I was hoping for. So the last day, I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring it. The day before, I was really tired. I couldn't get my body to cooperate with me. And I was really wanting to stay awake and I couldn't stay awake. So again, the last day, I'm like all in. I went to bed early the night before. I said, I'm going to have the most transformational experience of the week during these 5 hours of this meditation. So I go into the room. Mind you, there's over 1,000 people there. And I'm in the very front of the room. We're all lined on the floor with our blankets and everything. And so you're kind of lined up next to people. So I'm on the floor, and right to my right is a friend that I had made there. And to my left is this guy. And again, 1,000 other people. So we start the meditation, and Dr. Joe says, fight your body. You know, your body is the part that really wants you to sleep, but we are going to go into consciousness, and consciousness is awake. So let's make sure that you're listening to the meditation. I'm like, oh, I'm all in. I'm sitting Indian style. I'm not even leaning on the back wall like a lot of people were doing. I was not in a chair. I was all in. I was ready to go. So imagine this. Okay. Lights go down, music comes on. He starts doing the guided meditation. And I'm like, here we go. I'm going to amp into another space and time, into another dimension. Here we go. And 2 minutes in, the guy next to me, who's lying next to me, and I'm sitting up erect, in my Indian style meditative pose, ready to go for 5 hours. This freaking guy next to me starts snoring, like really loud snoring. Not just a little tiny snore, a loud, really loud snore. So I'm completely distracted. We are 2 minutes into the meditation. We have 5 hours to go. So as you can imagine, I'm like so excited. I'm like, oh my God. I know most of you don't know this about me, but snoring makes me crazy. When I can't, I sleep at night, I've got the eye shields on, I've got earplugs. Like if I'm with a friend, one of my friends snores really loudly. So if we ever have to travel together, I'm like, oh God, sometimes I get another hotel room. I've got the noise machine going. I hate snoring. Okay. I cannot sleep. I need dead silence. And it's very distracting, of course, in a meditation. So imagine the music's on, but I hear this guy. It's just loud enough to drive me crazy. And I am so distracted, cannot think straight. I'm getting so furious. The girl, so it's me. To my left is this guy snoring. And to the left of him is this other girl. She was from some other country. She was so cute. She sat up and she leans over him and taps me. And she goes, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. I'm so frustrated. I'm like, me too. And then the guy wakes up, because she's leaning over him to talk to me. And he goes, what's the matter? What's the matter? And I said, you are snoring and you're distracting us. We can't even concentrate on what Dr. Joe is saying. We can't get into a meditative state because of your snoring. He goes, oh, okay. and turns around and closes his eyes and keeps snoring. I wanted to literally strangle this guy. I'm like, are you kidding? You're not even going to apologize to me? So I am ticked off. I've spent all this money to learn this. It's my, all the stories went on and on. This is my last day and I can't believe this. So I'm sitting there and I'm trying really hard to focus. And eventually by probably the last hour, of course, my story is like, if you're going to freaking sleep the whole time, why the hell did you come to begin with? I mean, I was ticked off. So by the last hour, he had kind of woken up and now he's participating. So I did have a really great last hour, but the first 4 hours, I was just so annoyed with this guy. So it's our last day and I know we had to jump on the plane. So I rush out of the hotel and I jump on the shuttle to go back to our area of the resort because I had to go pack and all this. So because I was one of the first ones out, because I was so mad at this guy, I flew out of that room. I jump in the shuttle bus with 4 other women, and these 4 women happened to be staff. And I was like, here's my opportunity to tell them about my experience. This is crap what happened to me just now. So I turn around and I said, oh, hey, you're all staff, because they had the lanyards on that said staff. They said, yeah, hey, how was your pineal gland meditation? And I'm like, well, I'm going to let them know what I thought about that meditation. So I started telling them, I'm like, it was the worst meditation I'd ever had, and I couldn't do it. And you need to find out who snores and put them in the back of the room or in the corner. And this is ridiculous. And I was going on and on and on. I said, it's just not right. I said, I love to meditate, and I couldn't meditate because that guy was so loud, and he was even snoring louder than Dr. Joe's voice and all this. And they all looked at me, and I'm realizing they're not saying to me like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That was so bad for you. There's none of that happening. And I'm waiting. I'm like, because my friends certainly would have been like, oh, that sucks, Michelle. We're so sorry. None of that. So it's a short little ride in the van over to our area of the resort. And I said, and then the car was getting ready to pull up to their area. And they all looked at me individually and they go, yeah, this is your issue, Michelle. I was like, what? And I said, what do you mean? They said, yeah, you need to send that guy love and find your balance. And they literally got out of the van and walked away. And I was the only one left in the van. And I'm sitting there dumbfounded. I was like, what the hell are those bitches talking about? I was so mad. I was like, how the hell do they think it's my fault? I was all mad. But here's what I do after I get mad. I was just mad for a minute because I'm like, my next stop was like a minute away. But man, they triggered my ego. And I said, hold on, Michelle. Yep, guess what? I've learned to do this. My adult, I brought her in. And I took a moment and I said, hold on a second. Hold on. What if what they said had some truth to it? So I sat with it and I said, and it's hard. I'm not going to lie. The more I do this, the easier it becomes. But man, I really do look, when someone says something to me, I try it on for size. And I say to myself, you know what? Could that be true? Like, is there something there that they just said to me that might be true? And how can I see it from their perspective? So when I'm triggered, that's the first thing I do. And I did that. And when I did that, it was like all these, as Oprah says, like aha moments and light bulb moments came flying in. And I was like, and my whole awareness opened up. You guys have heard me say this. I just said it today on my live Q&A with the members. I said, listen, when we have a very fearful or angry perspective, it's like looking at the world through a paper towel holder, right? The little cardboard thing. It's a very small perspective. But when we can shift out of that fear or anger and become more open, and we find more peace and balance, our perspective and our awareness and ideas become so broad. We have so many other ideas can come to us. But when we're angry, everything shuts down. And there's like only one idea, which was my idea, and one perspective, which was mine, and I'm right. And they weren't siding with me, damn it. I was so mad. So from the time I jumped out of my van, which was literally like another minute ride, it was like an explosion of ideas that were coming down through me. And I was like, oh, they're right. They're right. I am sitting in victim and this is yucky. This feels like yuck to me and I got to get out of it because I don't want to be sitting in victim anymore. So after I realized I was sitting in victim, I'm like, so what else could be true, Michelle? Because I don't want to be in victim. So I owned my reality and I said, maybe they're onto something. And I said, I guess I could have gotten up and left. I guess I could have tapped him right when he started talking to this girl and I and said, hey, dude, is there any way can I nudge you again if you're snoring? That could have happened. And the last thing I realized is this. I'd like to be able to meditate regardless of what noise is outside of me. And me being so high maintenance with my sleep and needing silence and all this, like, I get it. That's something that I need, but it's also kind of controlling. And I need to find a way to not just sleep, but I want to be able to meditate with noise outside of me because that would be so cool to have such an inward focus that nothing separates me from me. And I realized I had a thought in the morning when my bigger dog I give him a rawhide in the morning. And if he's chewing that rawhide and I'm trying to meditate, which I oftentimes am doing first thing in the morning when he's chewing that rawhide, I can't meditate because he's chewing the rawhide and it's just loud enough. I like it silent or with very low, beautiful music on in the background. And I had that thought too. And I thought, you know what? I want to learn how to meditate with noise or without noise. I don't really care. So I realized they were right. I was being a victim and I don't want to go into that energy, or I'd like to go in there as infrequently as I possibly can. And so it was such a huge learning for me. And then I ran upstairs into my hotel room and I grabbed my phone and I recorded, I took notes on what had just happened. I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to have to talk about this. And I ended up recording a podcast on it about ending the victim. And it was like, I was on such a high. It was like one of the best podcasts I felt like I'd ever done in my life. It was so good. I had all my notes and I'm going to, write a blog on this or an article. This was so good. And then on the way home, so I recorded it on my phone. And then on the way home, I realized I was doing some work on the plane and I left my notes that I was working on the airplane. I'm like, well, it doesn't really matter because I've got that podcast. And then when I got home, there was a glitch with my phone, so I brought it into Apple and they backed everything up, of course, thank God, and then stripped my phone and then put everything back on. And as my voice memos were coming back into my phone, for some odd reason, my voice memos only downloaded or uploaded or whatever the heck they do up until October 6th, 2019. So everything from October 6th, 2019 to today wouldn't come out of the iCloud. So guess what I lost? The most amazing podcast of my life was gone. So guess where I went yet again? But for a much shorter amount of time, I fell into that damn victim chair again. I'm like, where's my podcast? I hadn't set that into my producer yet. I'm like, where is that podcast? And I called Apple when I got home the next day and I spent an hour and a half on the phone. I'm like, I need that podcast. I was so attached, remember that word, to that podcast because I was excited to put it out for you guys this week that guess what? I was sitting in victim all over again and I caught it this time. And I said, oh my God, I'm back. Because I started getting like, I can't believe that Apple did that. And they're telling me I had the settings wrong. I'm like, I have never changed the settings on the voice memos. That's insane. And I went on it and I caught it. And I said, yuck, this energy feels the same as before. And I was stuck in victim. So came out of it. And then I was like, well, I'll never have that podcast come back. And I was sitting today thinking about the whole experience of living in victim those 2 times. And it's only been a few days, honestly. And I said, you know what? I can do this podcast again. I know what happened. I can talk about this. So that's what I'm doing right now for you guys. And I just want to share with you some ways that I found to get out of victim. So I hope you guys can relate to some of that story, those 2 stories actually. And it's so sneaky is what I realized about that victim energy. I was like, where did that, we feel like we're right, and you need to feel sorry for me. And this isn't okay. But what I realized why I didn't like the victim energy Of course, I've had it off and on my whole life. I mean, who doesn't slip into victim sometime? But what I really am more in tune with everything so much more right now since applying the adult chair and striving to live in my adult every day, what I realized is how sneaky it is to go in that chair and how we feel so right about our experience. But when we feel like that, it's separating me from me. It's separated me, Michelle, from myself and peace and balance. And I don't want anything or anybody to ever do that, ever. Even if I am right, I don't want to separate out. So we got to remember to not get so attached to things. I was attached to that podcast. I was attached to my experience in that class. So attached that when I didn't get my way of how I thought would be best, it made me upset. And I lost connection with myself and fell into my ego and let my ego drive the ship. I don't want that to happen. So now that I'm so aware of it, I'm able to catch it. So that whole experience with losing that other podcast, I caught it so fast. I was like, yuck, it's that yuck energy. I'm out. I don't want to do that again. So here's some simple steps for you guys to help you get out and move out a victim. Well, number one, it's really important, again, that we own our reality. Own it. We have to own it. That's what I had to do with myself. Like, wait a minute. What's going on here with this meditation? Like, this is my reality here. And again, I might say, well, I paid money and I should have. That's even the idea and the thought and the energy of that is so victim-y. But the reality is like, to own my reality would have been like, hey, the facts, the adult speaks in facts, remember, I could have left the meditation. I could have nudged the guy. I could have practiced for 5 hours meditation with snoring next to me to help me focus more internally on myself. Instead, I sat and suffered for 4 hours until he stopped snoring and said, I can't do this. This is so awful. It's my last day. It was so gross looking back on it, but I did all that. So it's about owning your reality and just stepping into facts. Go find those facts, not the whiny facts like I shared with you, but the real facts. Number two, sometimes we do have to set a boundary, like speak up for ourselves. Speak up for yourself if you need to. I think about even with that guy, I could have said to that guy, hey dude, can I nudge you if you snore because it's disrupting? And I could have said it from my adult instead of this whiny little girl where I was. I was like that whiny thing is the victim. The third thing is we really want to remember, I talked a minute ago about attachment. I want to choose myself and my power over anyone else. I want to always make empowered choices for myself. I don't want to give up my power for anyone or anything, right? I realized how quickly I went into suffering and story. So we want to set a boundary and then choose yourself over, and your power, by the way, over separation from self. That's really, really big. You know, my husband, he lost his father in March, so he really wanted to go home to Charlotte over Thanksgiving. And he said, I really want to go spend Thanksgiving with my mom and my family, and we can see your family and yada, 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 yada. And I said, okay, that's fine. And then I said, wait a minute, when are we leaving for Joe Dispenza? And he said, Sunday. And I said, what? Well, when do you want to come back from Charlotte? And he says, well, we can be back by Saturday night. I'm like, hold on. There's no way I am going to be able to come home, decompress, relax, do wash, pack, and then leave the next morning on an airplane. That to me sounds like hell. No, thank you. So I said to him, I did not go into victim, by the way, and I could have quite easily, but I said, that's not going to work for me. That's just not going to work for me. And I would love to be able to honor your mom and your family. And I would even like to be able to see my family, but I can't. I need at least a few days of just chilling out and decompressing before I get on an airplane to go spend a week in meditation and lecture for 14 hours a day. Like I need a little bit of a Michelle downtime kind of thing. That was my boundary. I could have gone into, oh, I can't believe he's making me do that, and da-da-da-da. And I didn't do that at all. And I said to him, if you want to go back by yourself, you can. I'll just stay here. That's fine with me. That was my boundary. And I didn't say it from a vindictive place or angry or anything like that. It was not angry at all. It was matter of fact. And then he actually went into the victim a little bit. And he's like, I can't believe you're not going to spend Thanksgiving with all of us and the boys are going to come with me. And I said, I don't care. They can come with you. I ain't going. I don't want to go and come back Saturday night. And I was just really, really clear. And then I remembered again from the adult chair, healthy relationships. I said, I think we need to have a conversation. So I said to him, I said, listen, a day had gone by. And at that point, I was just not going to go. I was going to stay here in Nashville and just have dinner with one of my friends here. And I said, hey, is there a way? So then I went to him because I do apply this model in my own life, believe it or not. And I said, hey, can we have another discussion? Because healthy relationships require, remember, hope you're all answering in your head, healthy, honest communication. Healthy, honest, sometimes raw communication. So I went to him and I said, listen, because he was saying like, I can't believe you're not going to be there and I want you to be there and it's not fair. And I said, so the next day I said, listen, can we have a conversation about Thanksgiving? Maybe we can come up with a compromise. And I said, what if we were to leave a couple days earlier than you're thinking, and then we can leave a couple days earlier? I said, so then we can come home by Friday. I said, I'm leaving Friday morning at 6 a.m. I'm out so I can be home by noon. And he says, oh, well, that's not a bad idea. And he says, I'd rather stay till Saturday. I said, well, if you'd like to do that, we can drive 2 cars and I will just come home when I'm wanting to come home. I just really needed to take care of myself because I knew what a rough week it was going to be in meditation all week. So I needed to take care of myself. By the way, for those of you even thinking this thought, that is not being selfish. I can already hear the comments coming in. Isn't that selfish? No, I'm offering to go, but I got to take care of Michelle. So that's not being selfish. That's being very self-loving of me. Only I know what I need. I know myself. If I had pushed through and come home Saturday night, I would have been exhausted, miserable, completely stressed out, and probably angry because I know me and I need downtime. I know I need to be alone in my house, doing my laundry, doing my thing for like a day and not in contact with anybody if I have back-to-back trips. I know myself that well. So that to me is very self-loving. And that's self-care. So that's what I expressed to him. I said, I just can't do it. He goes, well, I don't have a problem going back-to-back trips. I said, that's you. That's not me. So I will drive a separate car if you would like, and I will drive back on Friday. I have no problem with that. Not at all. And he said, you know what? I think if we go a day early, it'll be fine. So there you go with a compromise. And it worked out fine. And we went two days early and came back 2 days early and worked out beautifully. So we just really want to remember the last thing is to be conscious with our thoughts, okay? Where are your thoughts? What are you saying to yourself? Are they making you feel bad or are they making you feel good? We really want to direct them wisely. I was clearly allowing my thoughts, my unconscious thoughts, to get the best of me in that meditation retreat. Clearly. And the whole story, stories are unconscious. They're like a broken record and they're making me feel, it's like I'm trying to make myself feel good, but it's all unconscious, yucky stuff. It's not true. So we're in charge of our thoughts. We have to be conscious. Where am I directing myself? We want to choose it and not fall into victim. We want to say to ourselves, like, I'm not doing it. I got to find my way out of this victim thing. We all have really a snorer in our lives. Let's think about that. Who's your snorer? We've all got that person that's going to irritate us in our lives. Everybody does, especially right now during these holidays. Who is your snorer and what are you going to do about your snorer? Think about this. Like if that person is throwing you into victim, how can you get out of it? You've got to make the conscious decision to get out. I could have sat there the rest of the day after those girls, the staff members said what they did to me. I could have sat there the rest of the day and complained and said, those girls are so mean. And I'm like, no, they weren't mean the way they said it. They just spoke truth. And I had the choice to take it in or not. and to see if I could find that was a match for my own truth, but I had to put the victim down in order to even see it. I remember this is reminding me of, gosh, sometimes in relationships we're hurt by other people, whether it be some sort of betrayal or someone that has said something just to, hurt us, or, a cheating spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend. And I've worked with people that have really been stuck in that victim for sometimes a year or longer. And I've applied what I just shared with you guys exactly with them. And I almost think one of the most important steps of this whole thing is to be conscious with your thoughts. It's so important to be conscious. And remember, choose yourself and your power over anyone or anything else. When we're stuck in victim, like I remember one client came in, and I've had, unfortunately, a few of these clients that have said they're just stuck in their pain about their husband that had cheated on them or their boyfriend that had cheated on them repeatedly. It's hard, but when we are conscious with our thoughts, we have to push like crazy to get ourselves out of that victim chair. So when these women are saying to me, they've said to me in the past, I'll never get over it. My husband cheated on me, or my boyfriend has cheated on me in the past, and how will I ever move on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's like the broken record that I'm talking about. We have to find a way to get over it. And that is with our consciousness. We just say, you know what? I've had enough of this energy of being a victim. I have had enough. So I don't know if this person's going to cheat on me again. I don't know, but I got to get out of this for myself, because me being stuck in victim doesn't hurt anybody but me. The energy is so yucky. It's a lower frequency of emotion. You don't want to be stuck in that emotion down there in victim land. It's yucky. It doesn't feel good. And then it attracts more of that to yourself. So we want to choose to get out of it. You guys know about my uncle. I've talked about my uncle on so many shows. My dad's identical twin that was truly raging alcoholic. I used to call him a narcissist. I think looking at him now, he might have been a psychopath. Truly like something wrong with this man. And he was at our house almost every single day. This man created so much trauma and dysfunction in our family. One of the times I was a teenager and I'd gotten so upset with him because he'd ruined another family dinner and no one ever spoke up. So I decided to start speaking up. I had actually had the thought, I grabbed the yellow pages, which you younger people have no idea what that is, but yellow pages were where the phone numbers were kept. I remember pulling out all the phone numbers were listed in these big fat yellow pages. It's a phone book. And I had pulled out the yellow pages. I was looking for a hitman. That's how much I hated this man growing up. A hitman. And by the way, they were not in the phone book. They're not in the yellow pages way back when. I was like in my teenage years. So I'm telling you this story because I was in victim with this man for so much of the beginning and probably up to the middle part of my life. And then I remembered when my father died, he's been gone almost 20 years, probably 18 years. My sister and I had to start then taking care of my uncle, checking in on him. And I'm like, this is the man we freaking have hated most of our lives. And I remember thinking, we either have to find peace with this and let go of the past and all the hurt that he caused our whole lives, honestly. Or I can either be a victim the rest of my life or I can live in peace. And we both made the decision to live with peace for ourselves, for nobody else. Because carrying around that victim and how much he hurt us and how much he destroyed our family and all the suffering he caused my mother and all the suffering he caused me and my father and that story that I told to more therapists doesn't help me. And none of those therapists ever said, stop it, Michelle. I had to learn that on my own. Like, stop telling that damn story. It doesn't help you. And I remember my sister and I decided we're done. And then we started giggling about every time we had to go up and see him. And she and I had such a ball, and we'd go see him and would not hardly ever, I'm not going to say 100% of the time, I'm going to say hardly ever get triggered. We'd go in there and be like, he's really, truly, certifiably, there's something wrong with this man. And we'd kind of giggle about it. That felt so much better than carrying around that victim. That victim energy is yucky, you guys. I'm telling you, choose your way out of it. Do it for yourself, for no one else. So don't buy into other people's BS. Drop the story to find peace. That's the key, okay? It's your own peace that you're going for. Okay, that's all I've got for you guys today. Happy holidays to everybody. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for the beautiful comments, for all the love you give. I'm still getting comments from that 30-day journaling challenge a month ago, and I'm so glad everyone enjoyed it. We'll do it again next year, next November. And do not forget, just go to theadultchair.com to check out the Charlotte event and that membership. Hurry up, $24 a month right now. Price is going up in January. You can lock it in as long as you remember if you join by the end of this month. So there you go. Hope you guys join us. We'd love to have you in there. And that's it. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. Happy holidays to all of you. And I will see you seated right here next week in the Adult Chair.